Hello, fellow readers. I'm Stephanie, and this is Skim with Stephanie. Today, I wanted to talk about my most excited books for 2022. To clarify, this is not my most anticipated books to be released in 2022. These are just the books that I really want to get read in 2022. So, it will be a little bit of a mix of 2022 releases as well as items that I just want to read or items from my bookshelves. So I'll have some of the books, but not some of the others. That being said, let's get started. The first book I am really excited to read is Book Lovers. This one is going to be a 2022 release. So this book is about a girl who goes to visit her sister, and she just absolutely loves reading. It's like her whole life. And while she's there visiting her sister, she actually runs into this guy that she knows and is like an editor from the same place that she just came from. And they have not historically got along. Like, it says that they've met a couple of times, but they have not had that meet cute that they, are hoping for or whatever. And so this is going to be hopefully a, somewhat enemies to lovers romance, and I am just excited for it. It has to do with books and romance, like what's not to like. So very excited about this one. My second book that I am very excited about reading in 2022 is The Vanishing Half. So this has been all over. I'm sure you've already heard of it, but I just have not gotten to it yet. So I am very excited to read this. This is about two sisters who are identical twins, and they are black, but they are white passing. And so the story goes on to one kind of lives her life as a black woman while the other woman goes and lives her life as like a white woman since she's white passing. And it kind of talks about their lives, their children's lives, what kind of these differences are between how the two of them have decided to live their lives. So I think it is going to be a very interesting read. I've heard only great things about it, and I think it is going to be so eye-opening. So I am very excited to read this book. All right, so the next book that I'm really excited about is The Paris Apartment. This one is another 2022 release, so it hasn't been published or officially out yet, but it is by Lucy Foley, and I read the guest list in this past year, and it was great, just like I'm sure you've heard from everyone else. So I'm very excited to read another piece of her work. I also have The Hunting Party here that I haven't read yet, but I'm excited to get more into her books. I love her writing, how she like has so many different perspectives that are all like telling the same story. And I love seeing all of those, so I'm very interested. It sounds like it will be the same for this book, so I'm very excited to see that. This book is basically about a sister who goes to visit her brother, and when she gets to her brother's apartment, it doesn't look like something that her brother would necessarily live in, but B, he's nowhere to be found. So it's kind of like a mystery of like what happened to him, and then it has, I'm assuming, all these different perspectives again, since it lists like a bunch of like characters, so I'm assuming it will be similar to the guest list where each character kind of has their own chapters and whatnot, and we get to see what's going on from there. So I'm very excited about this one. The next book I'm very excited to read in 2022 is It Ends With Us. Now, I have not read any Colleen Hoover books, but I have heard from so many people that they are so good. So I really need to make a break into some of these Colleen Hoover books, and this just happens to be the one that I purchased and owned. I think it's on the more like newer side, and so I saw it, in relevant pop culture media in this past year, which is why I purchased it. And so I'm excited to kind of break into her books because I've only heard good things. Like, I've heard that they can be heartbreaking, but they are so worth it. So I'm excited to see what's going on with these. So I'm excited to see what happens in this. I hope my heart is shattered and I am bawling like for hours. All right, the next book I am super excited about is the Malibu Rising. This book is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I've read a couple of her books, and I just love everything she publishes. In all of her books that I've read so far, she's like incorporates some different elements, such as, you know, interviewers, and like the interview is the book, or you know, letters that are being sent back and forth between two characters, and that's how the story is told. And so I am obsessed with everything that she writes. Honestly, I don't know that much about it, but I know that's about four like famous siblings who like throw a party and their lives are changed forever. So like, isn't that intriguing enough? The next book on my list of 22 books I want to read in 2022 is These Violent Delights. So I know this like is a huge book that everyone's read as well, and I just have not gotten to it. Do you see a theme here? There's a ton of books that like have blown up and I just haven't gotten to them yet. What I know about this book is it's like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but in Shanghai, and between like two gangs in Shanghai. And so I'm very excited to see how this has been adapted, and I've heard lots of great things. So definitely why it's on my 22 books I want to read in 2022. The next book on this list is actually Beautiful World, Where Are You?, which is another Sally Rooney book. And I really loved Normal People when I read it. Unfortunately, I haven't read any other books, but I just loved the raw openness, like honesty, like truthfulness that was in that book. Like, she wasn't trying to make it some kind of fancy love story. It's just like, this is life the way it is, you know? And I appreciate that. And it sounds like this book hopefully will be similar. It sounds like this book is about like four young people just trying to navigate being young, and like sex and life and like all those different parts of being young. So I'm very excited to see what this one is about and grow more into the world of Sally Rooney. My next book is The House on the Cerulean Sea, which again, I am so late to this game. There's literally another book that they've published since this, but here I am. So this book, what I know about it is it's basically this, I don't know if it's necessarily a government employee, but it's like a quasi sort of government employee who goes to this orphanage and finds these magical children there. It looks, you know, like a children's book, so I'm hoping it's nice and light-hearted and fun. Like I said, magical, whimsy, those kind of feels, you know? And then, of course, I do want to read Under the Whispering Door as well, but I just wanted to take up one spot per kind of book series. So this one is the first one. All right, so this next book I am so excited about. It is Heartstopper Volume 4. I absolutely consumed the first three. These books are just so lighthearted and like cute and fun, and like there are some more serious topics in them, but I don't know, every time I left reading it, it just like left me with a smile on my face. Like every single time, it is just pure happiness. They are so adorable, and like it's a graphic novel, so like all the drawings are like adorable, and I just love these books. So I am so excited for volume 4 as well. The next book on my list of books that I'm very excited for reading in 2022 is No Exit, and I have heard amazing things about this book. It's basically about a lady who gets stopped at like a highway rest stop. Hi Megara. She gets stopped at a highway rest stop because it's snowing so hard, so like a bunch of people are stopped there instead of driving, and she basically notices that there's like a child stuck in, or like being captured and held in one of these vans. And so she spends this entire time that they are here at this rest stop trying to figure out who it is, like how to prevent more bad things from happening to this child, trying to do this all before that person leaves. So I'm very excited to read this one and see just how well she writes in this like confined like space. So excited for this one. My next most anticipated book for 2022 is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Again, another book I am so far behind on. But this is the first book in this series about these sisters, and in this one Chloe is basically trying to get out of her comfort zone, or as she says, get a life. So she has a list of all these things she wants to do to get out of her comfort zone, and one of them is do something bad. And so she gets the help from this quote unquote bad boy to help her do this something bad. But through that process, you know, she hopefully, I'm anticipating, they like kind of, you know, learn more about each other, are interested in each other, and, you know, spark some romance. So I'm very excited about reading this book as well, because I've only heard great things about this series and I am so excited. This next book is the Hawthorne Legacy, which is the second book after the Inheritance Games. This book is about a girl who is like gifted this inheritance from this guy she's never met. He's like super rich, so it's like a significant like life change, a lot of money, and it goes to her instead of like all of these different family members. And like the only stipulation is that she needs to live in his house with like all these other family members for a year. And so she's like off doing that, and like the whole family, including her, are trying to figure out like, why did this guy give her all of this money, like, and the estate, and like everything, like why her, like trying to figure out these family dynamics and all these different things. And so the thing that I liked about the Inheritance Games was that I really love like escape rooms and like puzzles and like those kind of things, and it felt like an escape room. There were like so many like puzzles in it and things like that that she was trying to figure out. And so I'm hoping that that continues in this book, which is why it's on my most anticipated reads for 2022. So this next book is Kingdom of the Wicked, and I think Kingdom of the Cursed has already come out and everything, so another book that I'm late on. But I've heard some good things about it, and I don't really know that much about it, but I'll read you like the top little like taglines because it's very interesting sounding. So it says, 2 sisters, 1 brutal murder, a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself, and an intoxicating romance. Like, what is not to like in that? I don't know, but I'm excited about reading this, and then hopefully Kingdom of the Cursed as well. All right, so the next book on my list is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, another book that I've heard so many good things about, so I'm very excited about it. And this book is basically about, I think there's a group of girls who are like daughters from famous like literary people. So the main character is like Jekyll and Hyde's like daughter, that person. I guess I don't know too much about like the actual story of it, but I've heard like it's very interesting. Like she's basically telling a story to all these different girls, and then like they'll pitch in and be like, that's not what happened, and things like that. So it just sounds like an interesting way of writing it, that I'm very excited. I've heard good things, so I'm excited to see what this story is. All right, so the next book on my 22 books that I'm most excited about reading in 2022 is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So what I know about this one is it's basically about this girl who's doing her like final project on this murder that happened in their town, and she's basically finding like different conclusions than what was originally thought, and so she's kind of blowing the case open, and so it's another like murder mystery kind of book, and I've just heard it's really good, so I'm excited about reading this. The next book on my list is actually Sense and Second Degree Murder. It's the second book after Pride and Premeditation, which is basically just a retelling of Jane Austen's novels, but with a murder mystery incorporated in it. So I love Jane Austen, I love murder mysteries. What's to dislike, you know? So I'm excited about this second book in that series as well. All right, the next book on this list is Atlas 6, which again, I feel like I'm so late to. This like blew up on, I think, TikTok in the past year, and everyone read it, and I just still have not read it yet. So this is on my list. This is basically a book about 6 kids who are competing to be initiated into this school, and only 5 of them will make it to initiation. So it's all about like that kind of competition, and I don't know, I'm just really excited. Like this cover is stunning. I know it's being republished, like because this was like just a not indie published, like self-published or something, one of those two. Anyways, so I thought this cover was beautiful, but they're, you know, republishing it, will have a different cover, I think, but I was just so excited about this. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know, I'm excited to read it. What else do you need to know? All right, the next book on this list is Love on the Brain, which is the second book in the Love Hypothesis, so how could it not be on this list? So this book is about 2 people working at NASA. So one is our main character, the girl, and then the other is this like grumpy engineer who she thinks is going to sabotage her when they're like working together. And so I'm just excited for it, like knowing how the Love Hypothesis went. I'm like so ready for this, like, you know, just like growth and development of the characters and like their relationship, and I don't know, it's just so cute. I'm so excited for anything she publishes, including all the novellas that she's publishing in this next year as well, but I don't want, again, to include all of those on this list and take up multiple slots, so this is the one that I am noting on this list, but you best know that I am going to be reading all of those like novellas as well. The next book on this list is They Never Learn. I feel like I don't know that much about this book, but what I do know is it's about this English professor who is a woman, and she is finding the worst man in like their university, I think it is, or just like maybe in their town, and she like kills one of them per year, I think it is, or something like that. Basically, she's hunting bad men, and you know, it just sounds very intriguing. I'm excited to read it and kind of read that, you know, I guess the villain's perspective, although you know, it's one of those like books where you're following the villain, but you understand why they're doing it, so it just makes for like a really interesting read. So I'm excited about reading this. The next book that I'm really excited about reading in 2022 is Truly Devious. This is about our main character who is going to a private school, and she is like loves true crime, but she is going to this school to try to solve like this cold case that they had at the school, and from what I've seen, it looks like maybe this cold case becomes current again as well. So it's like kind of an intertwining mix of the current story and the previous story, and her just trying to solve all of this. So again, another kind of like murder mystery type of book that I'm really excited about reading. So this next book is From Blood and Ash. Again, I feel like I don't know that much about this book, but I've just like seen it everywhere, so it's one of those books that I really want to read. So what I do know is that it's like about our main character is like a maiden who has been selected from birth, and she's basically waiting her ascension, and so she has like a lot of weight on her shoulders, and I don't necessarily know what else happens in the book, but I think there's like a romance in it as well. So we'll see what this book is actually about when I read it, I guess. Again, not in any particular order, but number 22, the last on our list, is Finlay Donovan is Killing It. This sounds like such a funny but interesting book. I've heard great things about it. It is basically about this woman who is, I think, like talking in a coffee shop, and someone is overhearing whatever conversation she's having and basically thinks that she is a like assassin for hire kind of thing, and so like she's recruited to like go kill someone for this other person, and she's like in this mix of like that's not what she actually is, but she feels like she has to do it now or something like that, and it's just very interesting concept. I think it will be hilarious. Like maybe it's not hilarious, but like I just find the idea so funny that I hope this book is funny. All right, so those are my 22 books that I really want to read in 2022. Again, if you haven't heard the word excited like 50 times by now, I am very excited about reading these books. Hopefully I get to all of them this year, but we'll see. Hopefully they're as good as I'm expecting them to be and that they've been hyped up to be. And I'm just... I can't wait to get this year started. So that being said, if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below. And if you have read any of these books, please let me know if they're worth my time, which ones I should be reading first. I'll definitely listen to your guys' input. Let me know what other books you have on your list. I'm interested to see what else you guys are reading and what else I should be adding to my list. Thanks for watching. Bye!